Boom, welcome back to the Builders Pod, the podcast where we believe that the building community is the best business model for the soul. Today, we have a very special episode. Today's guest grew up across Spain, Bolivia, and Argentina, following his parents from business to business. He became a filmmaker, then built a production company in Madrid, and as if that wasn't enough, he's been a golden giddy for years. This is Yusuf Nabi. Yusuf, how's it going, bro?
Super good, super good. Thanks for having me here.
No problems at all. I'm excited to have you on. I said to you before we started recording, I said that you've been to many events now with Guiris y Mierda, but at the events, I feel like it's always a case of, it's just chaos for me because I'm always hosting and that sort of stuff. So we've never sat down, no phones for for like an hour and had a conversation. So I'm excited today.
Yeah. Every time that I see you in the events, you're working a lot, having a lot of fire around, thinking of everyone, hosting to everyone that is coming. So I imagine, and now that everything is growing fast, I think that you need to have a second tone for the
Yeah,
events.
that's the idea. Trying to recreate a second time. Well, with all the AI events that you've been doing in the background, maybe soon it won't be long before I can grow my own second time.
Yeah, with AI and robotic.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for the people listening, I know I've just gave you a very quick introduction, but do you want to introduce yourself a little bit more thoroughly? Just to kind of elevate the pitch on who you are, what you do.
Well, I'm Yusef. I'm filmmaker. As you mentioned, I came to Madrid to open a business. I used to run the business in Dubai, where I was living before. I'm still flying and going to Dubai every 2 months. Now it's a bit complicated because there's a war happening there. I mean, not necessarily in Dubai, but yeah, there's a lot of drone activities, this kind of stuff. So I can't um, come back. I was there January, February, and then I couldn't go there. And actually, my business there is struggling because now, because of the war, there's no travel, tourists, restaurants. So I came here to Madrid to open a second office that becomes my main studio. Now we are 5 people, 6 people working in the production company here in our new studio in Ventas. So, but the truth is that I came just to open it up, another office, and fly back to Dubai because I was living and dating with a French girl, and my life was completely perfect actually, until I figured it out that she wanted to break up and take another path, and this is when I decided to stay here in Madrid. And I said, okay, why I'm gonna come back? I'm still having an office there and 2 employees there, but the truth is that when I started to meet people thanks to Guiris de Mierda networking, I found um, in the human connection that I found there a reason to stay more. And I didn't want to go back also because my friends group there, they were all in couple. My partner was there, and I just wanted to stay here. So it becomes as an idea of mm, amplifying my business here, my production company in Madrid, and then it ended up in living here, having a life here. But I was not imagining here. Actually, was not like in Madrid because all the things that I was doing, it was tourist trap. Going to the pub crawl in Seoul or visiting, I don't know, the center, the city center where nobody goes. I was thinking, this is not for me. But thanks to a friend that actually came to my production company and asking for a video campaign, he started to talk about you, the community, and that I could be a good fit for it. And then I show up to the first meeting, and I I keep going to all the events.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. I didn't know that story, by the way. I didn't know that you were recommended by a client. Who was the person that recommended you? Do I know them?
Rio D, he's a rapper from Canada. Yeah, he came to my studio when I used to have the studio in Chambéry, and we were talking about video production. Then we end up being friends. He told me you should come to one of the Guiris de Mierda event. That for me was super funny to hear that name. And because in Spanish is basically shitty tourists or something like that. And then it was a big surprise. So most of my friends they came from there. I met a very good group of expats and entrepreneurs that I could exchange. What I value most in Guiris de Mierda group is something that I didn't have in Dubai, which is the human connection. Because in Dubai, everything is about networking. What you do, what's your service, how we can build something together. Let's make business, which is fine, which is fine. And I actually appreciate. But when everything around you, it's about business and making money. Having the opportunity to not talk about money, growing your business, or this kind of stuff, and just talking about connection, vulnerability.
Yeah.
Then I figured out that I wanted to stay more in Madrid, and here I am.
Amazing, amazing. No, you said so much there. I think that's what I kind of like about Giddies as well. I think the good thing about it is there is the balance. It's not just like a networking thing because obviously there are groups out there for the networking side of things. There are groups out there for the party. But I think that what we do quite well with Giddies, at least what I like to think, is that we kind of draw that we're kind of somewhere in the middle. Like of course, the plans are very social, but the people that go to the plans, there's quite a lot of freelancers, quite a lot of entrepreneurs, quite a lot of people kind of building things in their own right, even if they're building other communities or whatever. We have a lot of the overlap. So even though it's not strictly networking, you can definitely find very interesting people at the events as well. I always find.
Very
Um,
interesting, and from all over the world with
yeah,
crazy
yeah,
stories because people
yeah.
came here for love, for working, struggling in their country, an accident. It's super funny to hear so many crazy stories.
Yeah. But yeah, no, interesting. But I'm more interested about you instead of talking about Giddies. So you were saying that you were in Dubai, and then you decided to come and expand the business to Spain. That is like a story that you almost never hear that someone says, "Oh, I'm going to go to Spain to grow the business," because people are usually trying to escape Spain, and maybe they'd be looking at Dubai as somewhere to do that. Why did you do the other way around?
Because in Dubai, I still have a company there. I work for GCC, the Cooperation Gulf Council, Cooperación del Golfo, which is like a sort of European Union of Arab countries, which is Saudi, Emirates, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, and then I work for United States. So everything that comes from United States or the GCC, it's taken by my company there. And I wanted to open a company here because most of the European companies, it's convenient for them if they are working for with other European companies. So I opened a company in Africa, which is Tenerife. I opened a company in Canary Islands where we don't have VAT. So I started international business. So I was in charge of opening the companies in places where it was more efficient from the tax perspective. And as I export services, this is why I end up in Dubai, having a client there and opening a business, and in Tenerife, which is part of Spain, but it's like an island in Africa. It belongs, let's say, to Africa. It's a territory of the European Union, but it's outside of the VAT zone. That could be Guyana or French Polynesia or these extraterritorial entities outside of the European Union. So I opened it up there. I lived there for a while, and then I started to make business, especially with Netherlands, Germany, UK, exporting production services, video audiovisual production services. So this is why I came from Dubai to Madrid, and my plan was to keep the main thing in Dubai, where 60% of my business um, run through. But the truth is that I started also to hire more people here because I feel that there's a lot of talented people here, graphic designer, developer, photographer, motion graphic designer, that are very valuable here because I just figured it out that a lot of young people want to be in Madrid because you have a lot of cultural activities, including Guiris de Mierda, which I
Mhm.
think that is a cultural activity.
Yeah. No, super interesting. But let me make sure I've understood that right. So your Spanish business is based in Tenerife, right?
Totally fair. Exactly.
And the advantage to that is that it's outside the European VAT zone. And so,
Exactly.
who is that? I mean, that's obviously advantageous to you because it means that you're not paying VAT. But is that good for your clients as well? And if so, why?
They pay 21% less.
They pay they pay 21% less. But the things with VAT, which they'll never understand, is like if I'm paying VAT, then that's going to be deducted off the VAT that I've paid as well. You know what I mean? So it's like kind of it has that full circle. I know ultimately, if no one pays VAT, then it's much better because you just
But
everyone's
the
just
truth is
paying.
that you need to have that money now for paying for that service, and it's 21%. And if true that you can deduct it, but if you have enough things deducted, there's a moment when that trimester you're losing that money because
Yeah,
if you deducted everything that you could and you don't pay, the truth is that if you have a lot to deduct, you will end up not putting that 21% of the services that I offer into that accountability, and then you will lose that money.
yeah, yeah.
So that's a method.
It's a killer as well, and because it's even worse for Guiris, for my business, for example, with the IVA, with the VAT, is because we don't. It's not like a service. So it's, for example, if I'm doing the influencer work and I'm charging somebody, I put on my invoice, I'll add the IVA, I'll add the VAT on top. But with Guiris, obviously, when I'm selling tickets, we don't add the IVA. The IVA is included in the ticket. So every ticket we sell, I have to take off the IVA. So like a portion of that is never mine.
Well, in my field, production companies they show you the price 3,000,
Yeah,
and they write down of the price. This is not including taxes.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
they need to add on top 21%, which sometimes it doesn't look a lot, but from 3,000, it's 3,600. So
yeah,
it
yeah,
is a lot.
yeah,
In
yeah.
our case, our main thing is that we can provide professional Netflix quality video content for companies with no VAT.
hmm Yeah, yeah. No, that's interesting. It's super, super interesting. But yeah, but that's the thing. So, like, so yeah, when as I say, when I'm doing the influencer work and I'm charging a company, they're used to seeing the price displayed. Like the price doesn't include IVA, and then the IVA is an extra. But
Exactly.
obviously, when you're selling a ticket or when you're selling like even clothing, for example,
You hide it.
it's always included. Yeah, it's always included, which means it's hidden. But really, it's like it's coming out of my margins.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly, exactly. It's not true that the VAT is something that you can deduct. Of course, you can deduct, but it's not that a money. There is an idea that it's a money that you retain for the government. No, it's money that it cost you because you
yeah,
are
yeah,
paying for it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So not having that 21%, it's an advantage that we offer for companies in the European Union. So
Yeah.
they don't need to be taxes 21% more, especially Spanish companies. And outside the European Union, we work with a Dubai company, Emirati company. So basically, it's zero tax.
And question, I know I'm digging into the tax questions quite a lot, but I am interested, and I think that people that are interested in tax stuff will be interested in this too. It's like, why not just have the Dubai company and just invoice everybody from the Dubai company? Why did you have the need to open the entity in the Canary Islands as well?
Because it's a European company and it's under European laws. And when you're working with big companies as SAP or Deloitte, they prefer based companies. Plus, I have a studio here. Plus, I have salaries to pay here. So I can't do it from an entity that is outside of the European Union. The paperwork it's massive, and it will be plus illegal because you are offering services inside the European Union. So it's good to have separated things. One for the GCC and United States, and another one for the European Union.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like Atienda's going to be listening to this conversation right now.
No, plus another thing that I really see that is valuable is that okay, in Emirates, I'm very grateful for United Arab Emirates and Spain particularly because they are they're leaving me the space for building my company and making my dreams happen. In the case of Emirates, it's a society that is super open, that let you get in and that let you work there, and they're not um, putting so many restrictions to you if you want to grow. And I'm very happy with that. But in Spain, they really welcome you because you can have rights here, and it looks something minor, but when you are 35 you see yourself in a future, in perspective, and Spain, what can offer you, it's something bigger because in Emirates, 85% of the people that live there are foreigners. In Spain, it's true that it's between 15 to 16, but the truth is that in our case, as I'm Argentinian, you can have a citizenship, you can have the same rights that local and the same responsibilities. So it made me feel welcome in Spanish society. Plus, it's a society very similar than mine, and I think that it will sound a bit cheesy, but that thing really deserve that I can pay that extra taxes that I don't pay in Emirates. But due this condition and due the Spanish platform, I decided where to locate my company so
Yeah.
I can be more efficient with that.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I think it's a smart move. We spoke about it before. I probably should look into it a bit more too, to be honest. But anyway, going back, let's go back to kind of your origin story then. So, getting off the tax subject, because for me that's super interesting. Because I'm always trying to find a way to be more tax efficient. But I think this the pod is going to be more interesting if we're chatting about you as a person. So, tell me, I briefly mentioned at the start you grew up across different countries, right? So tell me a little bit about kind of you growing up and kind of everything that led up to you even going over to Dubai. You've already said about Spain, but kind of what's your origin story? How was it growing up across those countries, and why were you growing up across countries?
Well, my dad was Lebanese and my mom was Argentinian. My mom's family come from Spain, from Cordoba. She was Argentinian. My dad was Lebanese, and they were living in Argentina. They moved when I was 1 year to Barcelona, and I grew up there till 5, 6 years. Because they used to have a small factory producing leather jackets. Then they opened other businesses in Bolivia. I don't know how, but I remember my family having a lot of businesses: jewelry store, supermarkets, smartphone stores, even small kiosks. I don't know, boomers activities. Now everything that I do is like in the cosmos. I don't produce nothing that you can touch. But they were doing a lot of this kind of business. I remember having my childhood in my business, my family business, going after the school to or the supermarket where they were, or the jewelry store, or the furniture store, and having a life there. And when I was 8, 9, I moved to Bolivia. And the fun fact is that I'm Argentinian, but I met my country when I was 16. The first time that I arrived to Argentina was when I was 16. Before, when I was in Bolivia, I was speaking as a Catalan. And when I moved to Argentina, I was speaking as a Bolivian. So I have a lot of bullying and I needed to adapt myself. So I adopted Argentinian accent when I was 17. That's the fun fact. Then I lived there for 10 years. I finished the university. I came back to Spain to study economy in Valencia and journalism here in Madrid, in El País. But the truth is that I couldn't decide. I remember my parents telling me, "Hey, you like Bolivia? You would love to stay here?" And then I say, "Yes, of course, I want to stay here." Okay, we're going to move. Of course, they have the decision taken. But I remember the moment my parents asked me when I was 9 years old. We were walking in the sidewalk and they told me, "Hey, do you like Bolivia? You know that it's nice, the food." And I said, "Yes, I would love to live here." So they decided to move. That was the story. But of course, the decision was taken before, and they were having a good life there. Then when my parents broke up, I moved to Argentina with my mom, and I start my own path. I moved to Rosario. I studied international business there, and then I just figured it out 3, 4 years ago. I figured it out that I'm doing the same that my parents were doing. They were traveling and opening businesses, and I become something similar to them. Maybe because I saw them taking opportunities in other countries and opening business, and that kind of flexibility and adaptability that I developed that. And then I lived in Denmark, of course, Spain, Argentina, and Bolivia. But then I lived 2 years in Denmark. I lived 2 years, almost 3 years in Thailand. Um, Canary Island as well. It's part of Spain, of course, but it's very different as well. So I found my in Dubai, of course. So I found myself doing the same as them and admiring the same that my moms were admiring. My mom's, I remember her admiring Catalonia and how things were running there. Bolivia, which is super exotic and things were super different, Santa Cruz de la Sierra. So I learned from my parents that kind of flexibility, adaptability, and that admiration for that, no, for how things works there or how things are done in this country. I think that this is why I wanted to study international business
Hmm.
and put myself outside, But I think that it's something that it came from my parents, and I just didn't notice until 4 years ago doing therapy.
I always say something similar. It's interesting that you say that. So my dad isn't an entrepreneur at all, but he's like, I'd say like have you ever heard the term entrepreneur, where like you do entrepreneurial stuff but for a company.
Okay,
So
no,
like it's a phrase that I've heard before. It's like some people that have lots of flexibility within their job to kind of do whatever they want,
okay,
and they end up doing lots of like they end up launching lots of projects within their job because they have a lot of flexibility. So basically, to go back a little bit, just to give you a brief summary, my dad was like he was in the army 5 years. Then he was in the police in England for 10 years. Then he opened a fruit. Well, then he inherited a fruit and veg stand, and so he was just selling fruit and veg on a market. And then, somewhere in between all of this, he started a football team for me when I was younger. So he started this little team for me, and from that team, two of the kids got scouted. So two of the kids got scouted for one of our local clubs, so one of the big clubs, Birmingham City. But it's like, but at the time it was a bit bigger. Now, like the big clubs in the Birmingham, Aston Villa, Birmingham City, and West Bromwich Albion. And so at the time, two of the kids from my little team, we were about 9 or 10, got scouted and they went to play for Birmingham City. And that kind of opened a crack for my dad. And my dad started scouting just on a freelance basis. He kind of got a connection. He started scouting on a freelance basis and eventually got offered a part time job. And then he ended up getting a full time job. And then fast forward 20 years, now he's like the head of recruitment for Aston Villa, for example. And so he's launched for the academy. And so he's launched loads of different initiatives to try and get kids onto the team and to try and find talent in places where the Midlands teams, they don't have a lot of money, so they can't compete with Manchester United and the Liverpools and all these teams on just paying more. So they had to get creative and like, how can we find these kids, nurture them, and bring them into the academy? And so he launched. He's told me a million different stories about how they did this, like whether that was going to local parks and advertising tournaments for kids that don't necessarily have a team, and they don't get together and play and have a team. They haven't got the structure in their lives because in a city, a lot of them don't have that kind of structure. It's low income areas, but there's a lot of talent there, and so it's like, how do we find the talent? So he's done loads of stuff like this, and I think that just to why I'm telling you this is to build on your point. It's like I think I learned my need to be entrepreneurial as well came from my dad. Even though he was never an entrepreneur, he always followed his curiosity, made things happen, bounced around. When he wasn't happy with something, he'd bounce to a new job, and then eventually, with what he does now with the recruitment, he's always launching kind of like new ideas, and there's always something new. Do you see what I mean?
and I also see that potentially you got something from your dad, that he was seeing value in people, which is basically what your community is the value in the people in itself. Taking value from them, using and empower them to bring that value as a community, because your dad was working with people, which is
Yeah, yeah,
something very interesting from that perspective, right?
yeah.
That you are basically, your business is have a community of expats that we like to socialize between each other, and that we like human connection, and you see the value in us, and if we have some skills or something that you can potentially use for keep building your business and the community, and using that skills to leverage or to showcase them. It's like you still being like your dad, like a technical director, seeing who can bring more value to the community.
It's interesting. I've never thought of it like that, but I guess yeah, I can definitely see the parallels a little bit there as well. Yeah, it's interesting how we end up following our parents in some way. I guess it's like when they're your role models at the end of the day. You end up learning a lot through them just by absorbing. Even if you're not trying to learn from them, you just absorb the same way you did, I guess. Seeing your parents moving all over the world and starting businesses all over the world, and as you say, that's exactly what you've done as well. But I'm
We should
curious.
change the name of the podcast. Therapy with Tom.
Therapy with time. Yeah, that's why at the start I called it. We're only 10 episodes in, but I called it community builders. But then I thought, you know what, I'm just going to call it builders because it's actually more reflective of the people who are in Guiris and Mierda and the people who I'm interested in speaking to for this podcast. It's like people who have taken some initiative and they're building something by themselves, or maybe they're just building an intentional life and they're building something on their own terms. And that for me is like they're the people that I really want to speak to because they're the people who I think you represent really well, and they're the people who are just living life on their own terms. And I think at the end of the day, we only have this one life. That's all you can do. You got to do it on your terms. You got to enjoy it. And in fact, you're somebody I've always thought in Guiris y Mierda. You're someone that I can see from the outside. You're always someone who seems to me, at least, to be enjoying the process. When I've been to one of your events before as well, and I see how you work as well, and I see you interact with your team, and I always thought like that's it's quite aspirational for me for sure. The way that you deal with your team and stuff, because you're the way that I saw it, as I say, from the outside at least, it just seemed like you were enjoying the work, and it looked like your team were enjoying the work. And not all companies can say that, you know.
That's something that is true. I'm very privileged for enjoying what I do, for using my company to learn, to still learning and adopting new technologies, especially in AI, to have my studio for all other Guiris that are specialized in creating agents with AI and bring it to the studio and use the studio for hosting this kind of events or co-work experiences. I'm very blessed with that. Sometimes I don't see myself enjoying the present. I think that Guiris helped me to enjoy the present that I'm living because sometimes I'm in pilot mode. You can see me with my company and my team and have an aspirational idea, but I also have another aspiration that is a person who built a company with 30, 40 employees. And I think that it's good because it gives us a path of what we like and where we want to see ourselves in 2, 3 years. But at the same time, every time that I leave the studio and I go to one of the events in Guiris de Mierda, I figured out how blessed I am, deciding what to do after the work and finding new experience all the time. Because something that is beautiful about Guiris de Mierda is that I don't have to think how to enjoy life. I just need to check Luma and see, okay, what's the new idea about that Tom was working for us. It could be going to a beautiful bar in the middle of a traditional barrio here in Madrid to drink some vermouth or get some tapas, or hiking, or in a party, or even in crazy events or yoga. I think that it's super super cool because in that moment when I just close my brain, because my brain is working all the time with new ideas, with new services, how I will do it. It's a good way of stop, just arrive to one of the events, found my community there, and see that I'm blessed, that I can live in Madrid, that I don't have money problem, that I don't have I don't know. When I see the war and a lot of war problems and things happening, and I see myself in one of the events of Guiri, I really feel blessed. So it helps me to do that, to be more grounded.
Yeah, and for me, just to build on that as well, I complain about Spain all the time, but I think Spain has a lot of the credit for that. To be honest, too, it's like when I was living in London before. I remember getting the tube, getting the tube in the morning, commuting an hour there, an hour back every day. Most days it was like crammed on with so many people, and I was wet, and it was like everybody was wet from the rain. It's like next to some
Do you think that
guys.
is the weather?
If the weather doesn't help, I don't know if it's the weather or what it is. I think London's a combination of things. Like London, like Madrid, is an extremely old city, but I think Madrid, for whatever reason, it feels when you're walking around Madrid in the center, it doesn't feel so old. Obviously, you have all the architecture and stuff, but London feels much more run down. So they both feel old. Like Madrid feels ancient in a way because you have all this beautiful
Hmm.
beautiful
Passes.
architecture. and so does London. But I guess London, because of the rain, or maybe it's because of the grayness, or maybe it's because of the how it's crammed in the center. It just feels run down, and I feel like the people wear that kind of that that mood in their personality as well. Don't get me wrong. When it's sunny in London, I feel like there's very few cities in the world that are better. We have all the people are happy. The beer gardens come out, like people are out and about, and I love that about London. To be honest,
Also the culture here help you for sure to disconnect. To in my case, for example, I was a guy that I could start working at 9 a.m. and finish at 9 p.m. And I close at 7, and I go to one of the events of Guiri, and I just disconnect. And people with their jokes, teasing you, having fun, the icebreaker, it really helps you to really disconnect. I think it's a mix between weather and culture.
yeah, weather and culture. That's the thing. Well, there's not even many English people in London anymore because it's just people from all over the world. It's so multicultural. But I think that, yeah, the mood that London has, the culture that London has, is also that kind of like it's definitely got some of that like complaining about everything and everything is run down. And now actually London's getting even more dangerous as well, whereas Madrid feels generally pretty safe. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things. But yeah, to go back to it, in London, I would after work, I'd pretty much go home. Would rarely, maybe I'd go for a beer or two sometimes after work, but it didn't have that same feeling as Madrid, where you go, you leave work, you might go to a terraza on the corner, even if it's not like a Guiris event, because like for me, it's like, yeah, the Guiris events are great, but also the beauty of Madrid is that you can go to any random terraza. Now I just moved to outside of Madrid. Now I'm near Carabanchel, and it's like I went down to a little terrace the other day with my housemate, and we were just loving it. It's just like local. The vibes on a Tuesday night were amazing. There were people everywhere. I was like, this is what Spain is about. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I think it's also a mix between European culture with Latin American culture that mix in their good way. You know, that we have that good balance between work life
Yeah.
and enjoying life. We're not enjoying life as much as Latin America, but at the same time, we're not strict into the work in our boxes as you could see in North Europe. So in that
Yeah.
case, I
Orange
think that
box.
we are living in a good time in Madrid. I think that we are also living a good time in Madrid, and Madrid personality help you and help us to bring that community. Because I'm telling you the same. The weather in Dubai could be very hot and very nice, but at the same time, the personality that Dubai has attract people that they want run business, grow, make money. And I think that the personality of Madrid brings other kind of people looking for love, culture, talent, of course, jobs and this kind of stuff. But I think it's a good mix, a balanced mix.
True. Yeah, they say that Madrid's becoming more and more popular recently. I definitely see that because 10 years ago when I moved to Madrid, it definitely it seemed like I was the only English person there, but now it's way more international. It seems like there's a lot more opportunity, and it seems like that part of Madrid is definitely growing as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's becoming very cosmopolitan. Actually, I have friends that they speak English, and they are living in Madrid since 2, 3, 4 years, and they don't speak a word of Spanish. So
Fuck, that's bad though. That's bad. Okay, but let's go back because before I still feel like we kind of started on your story and then didn't. I kind of you jumped around from country to country. You mentioned that you studied in Argentina. You said
I studied in Argentina and Spain.
and Spain. Okay, and then so where you also said that you were living in Denmark and Thailand. So how did
Yeah.
what in chronologically in the timeline where did these countries fit in and why did you bounce around so much?
I finished economy in Valencia,
Okay,
and then I got the possibility to do an internship in Denmark, and I went there. And they offered me a job position, so I stayed there for a while in the north of Denmark.
doing what?
And
Sorry.
in the place is called Golden. No one knows the city. The closest city that is 10,000 people is Skanderborg. It's very in the north. I was walking there, and even the dogs that were watching at me like, who you are. Then I moved to Copenhagen because I needed more social life. And the only thing that I was doing in the north, it was working and getting fat. So I said, like, okay, I'm leaving. So I said to my company that I wanted to move to Copenhagen, and I lived there for 1 year and a half more. I started to work with NGOs, working creating content for
Doing what? So
refugees.
you were
I was
creating.
doing I was doing videos for an NGO there that is called Melenfond It's very famous there. That they also are one of the NGOs that run Roskilde Festival, which is a big festival there. So I was doing all their communication in English. And then I started to work for a company that is called Volt, doing marketing for them. And then I was creating content for Latino bands that they live in Denmark, for company like Too Good To Go. I remember when I was working with Too Good To Go, because all the companies in Denmark for me was crazy. I learned a lot about that. Actually, we recycle as Denmark. I'm vegetarian, and in my company, all the food provided is vegetarian. I learned a lot from Danish companies actually, but all of them came to me for creating campaigns that they were crazy. I remember to go when they started to talk with me that they were going to sell leftovers from restaurants, and I think your business is about selling leftovers from restaurants. And for me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna charge because I don't think this is gonna work. And now they are in 15 countries all around Europe, and it's a kind of a unicorn. But these kind of companies it really inspired to me to bring that values to my company. So I worked there for a while, and then I decided to move to Australia. I went to. I was a bit stupid. I wanted always to be in the university doing masters. I did three masters, and then I figured out, no, I want a four master. I don't know. I think I didn't want to grow up and quit the university. So I applied for a master in Australia. I don't know what happened with me. I was all the time between the university and the labor market. And then I applied for a master in Australia, and then I just wanted to do a connection in Thailand and see a friend that he was coming from Bolivia to have 1 week, 2 weeks in Thailand, and then I was going to Australia to study in the Technological University of Queensland. I never arrived. COVID happened, so I stayed in Thailand in an island called Koh Phangan, and I stayed there for 2 years in a row, not traveling any place,
In
and
Copenhagen for COVID the whole time.
for COVID. And then I said, okay, I never been in Australia. I never arrived to Australia. I don't know what happened with the master, with that visa. I remember that it took me like 6 months to apply for a professional skill visa at that moment, to apply to the university, all the paperwork to just make a connection in Thailand and never show up. And that was actually a very good lesson in my life. Thailand was an amazing lesson that I'm a person that planifies everything. I planify where I'm gonna work, what I'm gonna do. I know what I'm gonna do in 2 years, what I want to accomplish. I'm a bit obsessed with this. And Thailand really helps me to figure it out that I don't have to chase what to do in all the stages in my life and just focus more in what kind of things I want to bring in my life. If it's community, if it's love, if it's money, and not necessarily to think where, how, when in the schedule, why, in what method, because it really helps me to figure it out that even if I plan everything, everything can really go wrong. And we come back to Madrid, and then I started to move in. I moved
Wait,
to
just before you get onto that, but how did Thailand show you that? Was it the fact that things were outside of your control, or was it the culture there,
exactly.
or what?
Exactly. Everything was outside my control. I was in an island that I didn't know where it was. I remember that I was escaping from continental Thailand, and I asked to a lady that she was selling tickets to different islands, and I said, "Okay, I heard that Koh Tao is a good island. Can I get a ticket from there?" And she said, "No, I don't have for Koh Tao." "Okay, what do you have?" "Koh Phangan and Koh Samui." Which one is the best one?" "Koh Phangan." "Okay." Then I arrived an island just trying to find a bungalow in the middle of the forest because I didn't want to see humans because it was COVID. People were infected each other. I have a good saving, and I said, okay, I'm gonna run my empire from the middle of nowhere.
Cool.
And then I learned to to lose control, that the planification is not always as I want, and it's okay. I remember that I knew that I wanted to go to Denmark 5 years before. So I was obsessed of planifying things.
Yeah, yeah,
And then thanks to Thailand, I just figured out that what matters is what I want in my life. Love, health, money. It
yeah,
doesn't matter if it's gonna be at that time or at this time, or I'm gonna be happy in this moment and try to relax myself, focus on what matters and not necessarily in where it's gonna happen. And the same happened with Madrid. I came here just for opening a business and bye bye. And then I end up making a life here.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, it shows that you can plan absolutely everything, but then all those plans when life starts happening, all those plans can get thrown out of the window really quick. Your story kind of reminds me of mine on a smaller scale. So when I was 21 or just after university, I went to my plan was to go to Australia as well. So me and my best friend, we bought tickets and we said before going to Australia, we had some savings. So the plan was to go to Australia and start working over there. We had no plan really. We were going to fly to Melbourne or fly to I don't even know where our flight was to, maybe Sydney, Melbourne, or the Gold Coast, somewhere on the East Coast. And the plan was to go there and start working and just see what happens. And so before that, we were like, oh, we should do a little vacation first. Let's do a holiday in Thailand for a week. So that's what we did.
it's the same.
Yeah, so we were like, okay, so on the
I was
way,
going to Queensland University, which is in Gold Coast.
yeah, exactly, exactly. I know Queensland, so I ended up going over there as well. But and so we did the same thing. So we went to Thailand first for a week. On the first night, we were actually in Kuala Lumpur. So our exchange was Kuala Lumpur. So we went to Kuala Lumpur, then we were going to fly from Kuala Lumpur to Thailand, and then from Thailand to Australia. That was the plan. And our first night in Kuala Lumpur, we stayed at a backpackers hostel, and we were speaking to like everyone was drinking. The party was crazy. We were on a rooftop in Kuala Lumpur, and we looked at each other and said, "Man, let's stay here for a month. Why? What's the rush to go to Australia? Australia's still going to be there for us. Let's stay here." So we ended up going to Thailand the next day, and we stayed in Thailand for a month. And after 30 days, we were meeting other people, and people were like, "How long have you been in Thailand for?" Because like we were telling them stories and stuff, and they were like, and we said, I don't know, around a month, and they were like, "Oh, check your visa because you're not allowed to stay for over a month. You can get in big trouble." We had no idea, so we were like, "Oh shit!" So like it turns out the visa was expiring in like 1 or 2 days. So then we went to Vietnam. We did the same thing in Vietnam for a month. Then we did the same thing again in Indonesia. We went to Bali for a couple of weeks in Bali, and then kind of traveled around other places in Indonesia as well. And then we ran out of money. So then finally we went to Australia when we had about $800 left in my account, or Aussie dollars left in my account. That's when we went to Australia. Started working in Queensland in a hostel. Uh, and yeah, that was kind of the start instead. But it kind of reminds me of the same way. Like we just kind of yours was from COVID. Ours was because I'd never experienced anything like Asia before. It changed my whole perception.
Yeah, yeah. Asia. I love Asia. I love Asia. It really it changed my perspective. I'm all the time remembering Kopangan and Thailand and the moment that I was freelancing, and I didn't have to deal with taxes,
Yeah,
with salary, with client. I mean, it was a good life. A good life.
yeah. How were you
Really
running your business
changed.
from there then? So like, what was the logistically? What were you doing at that time? You were doing freelance video production still, or what was the business at that point?
At that moment, yes, I was doing. I was freelancer when I was in Thailand, and I was doing whatever people required. I didn't know, but Kopangan it was a touristic island. The things
Okay.
that people know Kopangan for the full moon party. I just been in two full moon party in 2 years and a half. I was living in the other side of the island, which is more alternative. So I work with a lot of alternative wellness sectors, doing workshops in yoga, tantra, kundalini work, having commercials about crypto because there was a crypto community there. So I worked as a freelancer a lot there. Then I hired one of my best friend, Danny, who was photographer, to help me with some projects. And I created amazing content there. I was working for some fashion brands from the United States, creating content in Thailand because the place was amazing. I worked for an instrument brand from United States that is still working with us after a lot of years. And I was creating content there. So the place is magical. I did documentaries for politicians in Thailand. I created the first advertising about wheat consumption in Thailand for one politician. He has like a big company that exports cannabis to United States, and they were looking for partnerships. So before even the law came, we were creating content for that. But I was taking everything. I was taking everything because the first 4 or 5 months, I was waiting for the borders to open. And I remember to have, at that moment, I have like 15K, but I
Yeah.
was running out of money.
Yeah.
And then my mom decided to use our saving for purchasing a house in Argentina. And I
Yeah.
was counting with that saving. And then she told me, "No, I hate the city. I need to move on my life." Da, da, da. And I was like, "Okay." So I have less money. So I was working in whatever. I remember that I didn't have idea about Kundalini, Tantra. And then my clients were asking me, "Do you have experience doing temple or these services?" And I was thinking, okay, it's video production. I can do everything. And then I was knowing a lot, but I was in Spanish we say cara dura. I was just taking all the projects possible to learn more, and of course, I remember one of my first project was from a Dutch woman creating video reels that it was drastic because she was super exigent and she was driving me crazy for cheap money. Because also in Thailand, the prices are so cheap. So, but I learned a lot in Thailand. I was super happy. And the fun fact is that I was super happy in Thailand, and I knew it. I knew it that I was living a happy life because most of the time when we think about our life, there is a moment in the past that you just figured it out that you was happy and you didn't know.
Yeah.
I was a bit stressed even because I knew that I was happy in Thailand and I didn't know. And I think that the same is happening now in Madrid again. I know that I'm happy in Madrid, and I have to take the most of it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's so true. It kind of reminds me, or it kind of casts back. It seems like a common theme in your story. You were saying earlier on that
But Madrid was also an accident for you because you came for love, right? And then you broke
yeah,
up.
Madrid was a complete accident for me. I came for love long time ago. I always said the love didn't work out, but I also stayed for love, but I stayed for love of the city. You know. So yeah, but yeah, it was a complete accident for me. But it's interesting for you. It's like that seems like a reoccurring theme. It's like being present. It seems like you are. You said earlier on that you struggle to be present. But it seems like if you know you're happy in the moment, that seems like you're quite self-aware enough to know that you were in fact present. You see what I mean?
Yeah, but you need that lucidity. I'm not as lucid as I'm being now the entire day. I just wake up, I check my calendar. Okay, there's a lot of things to do. I check the checklist. I check four, I add six more. So I'm not, it's hard for me to be present, to
Yeah,
disconnect. This is why I'm telling you that for real, Guiris event helped me a lot to just really disconnect. Even the first 30 minutes of the events, I'm still not disconnected.
yeah,
I'm seeing you every time on top of a table explaining the icebreaker, and I'm like, okay, why I'm doing, well, I have to think this, I have to send this to this client, and then slowly I'm disconnecting. And then if you talk to me in one of the events, I'm talking nothing serious,
yeah,
all
yeah,
bullshit,
yeah,
because
yeah,
I'm tired of talking serious thing to think and analyze what I'm saying. If the communication is getting that, if you talk with me in one of the Guiris event, my communication is super bad because I'm just completely disconnected.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that we can. I'm glad that we can do that for you. And so, a question that I've got about clients, because I feel like the most difficult thing of starting a business is everyone's got a great idea. Every idiot's got a great idea as well, but like not everyone can find clients. So, like not just in Thailand, but I guess in Thailand as well. And after Thailand, what came afterwards? How are you finding your clients? Like, were you reaching out to them, or was there a lot of word of mouth involved? What was happening? The first clients are always the hardest, right? So,
Um, there is a writer, very old writer called Jean-Jacques Rousseau. It's political science. He wrote the social contract. These kind of thinkers, they were thinking how society was built, how state works. And they said the first thing that happened, it was the at least in Rousseau, was the private property, and how private property appears in society. Just because someone put a barrier in a land and said, this is mine, and somebody believed it.
Yeah.
When somebody believed that this was him, then he said, in that metaphor, the private property appeared. This is the same. I just thought that I could do it. I used all my caradura skill, and I convinced someone that I was indicated for that gig, and then I figured it out, and then I did the job. So I think that the first thing is believing in you. That in my case, as I don't have shame, I don't have that problem. Now, of course, I have more than 8, 9 years of experience, a huge portfolio, so things are easier. But at that time, I just wanted to convince people that I could do it. I was showing what I could do. I was working for free sometimes, so they could check what I could do. And potentially, when they were seeing what I was doing, I was using that material to convince another one that they should hire me for that. But the first thing is to believe it in you, and then you have, of course, that thing of syndrome. But you need to overcome that imposter syndrome.
Yours, you were sending emails, you were on Instagram. How are you doing it? How are you finding these clients?
Well, this is funny, but the first client that I got, it was because I upload a video on social media doing stupid stuff. The fun fact is that I got hired by an influencer now. It's called Kabilame, which is the biggest influencer in the world with 78 million followers.
No
And
way.
he found me. Yeah, I create videos for him in Spain. And the fun fact about that is that he found a video of me doing whatever shit on Instagram, dancing or doing funny things. And he thought, okay, I want to hire this production company because they're funny and they could make that work because they made me laugh. So I think that not having shame of putting yourself outside and expressing yourself as original, as authentic as you could, it's a good exercise for finding people, because when you're pretending something that you're not, people can see it. I think that people can see it. Of course, if it's a flyer, an ad, potentially you can lie. But when they meet you, because my clients are B2B, so I'm not like running a business where you need to purchase a course for 4 euros. You
Yeah,
need to create a campaign. You need to make a video ads or something that costs 4 or 5, 10,000 euros. You really need to think what you are getting, sign contract, see me and my team in a lot of video calls, and you need to think about that. So if you are pretending something that you're not, potentially people will feel it and they won't trust in you. So I think that the first thing is being authentic, and there's always a place for your voice out there. Even when you think that the market is full of gurus, filmmakers, or the AI will take your job, if you add that human touch of your personality, being authentic and showing off what you can do, I think that the best presentation card for your personal brand. I think that you do that very well, because the same tone that I'm seeing in social media is the same tone that you can meet in the social events. So I think that that's great, and you master that more than other people that I know.
thank you. It's funny you say that because, well, I think authenticity is, I agree, it's super important. And I also agree that they can't just see it, they can smell it. If you're being inauthentic, people can smell it and it smells bad. You know what I mean? People don't want to, if you're inauthentic, especially on social media, like there's a stink to it. And people just have that sixth sense because there's something about seeing someone who's inauthentic. And the flip side of that is like, I think that's the content that for me that performs best is when I'm having like a genuine moment, whatever it is. If it's a moment of anger, or if it's a moment of excitement, or it's a moment of I'm feeling touched, and I pick up the camera and I'll just my phone and I'll just hit record and I'll just start talking, And then in the past, for me, those are the videos on average that always do best because you're transmitting real emotion. and that's super hard to fake. It's super hard to
But
fake.
but you can fake it once, and people can attend to your event once. But the truth is that people keep going to your events. Why? Because they find the real Tom there, and they found, of course, what you deliver, the transformation offer that you do, that is meet other people and the human connection. The same person that I met the first day that I went to Guiris de Mierda is the same person that I can see in social media and that I'm talking here. And I'm talking about that authenticity even more through the cameras and outside of that, because that explains the success of people and guiris and locals keep attending to your events.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. You've given Giddies a glowing review on this, and just anyone that's listening, I haven't paid Yusuf to say any of this. Okay, he's saying all this from his own free will.
But
Really,
it's when you really make your clients, I know that I'm more than just a client, but when you really make your clients happy and you deliver what you offer, they will be super happy to share their transformation with you and with your community. The same happened with me with the reviews on Google Maps. Every week or every 2 weeks, I'm waking up and I have a notification of someone that left a very good review about my company in Madrid, and it made me really really happy. Now I got a review from one guy that actually invited to me to talk in his company and in his association, and he uploaded a photo of me talking, and he showed a lot of gratitude, and it really made my day, even my week, because I really felt that what I was doing, even when I think that it's normal, people really see it as a value and can transform at least their week, their month, or their perspective. And when you have an offer that really transform your clients and make them happy, which is basically what you offer with your community, or when they make money creating content with mine, you can help them, and they really want to express that gratitude, not just in front of you, also in front of other people. So I think that is this is why it's always genuine, that because what you offer is really what you can get,
yeah, that's the
or
thing.
even
Though.
more.
I think it's easy for when people see my videos, or when maybe see a business like yours as well. With social media, with anything that's on social media, people think, it's good. This person probably has it figured out. He's like, if they see with Giddies, for example, we've done like big events, small events. We've been running for a few years now, like 26,000 followers on Instagram. You think they've got it figured out, but something I do struggle with for sure is that authenticity sometimes, because I feel like sometimes I there's only so many ways you can say the same thing, right? And so for me, a part of the challenge is, how do I stay excited about my business? I love Giddies because what I love from Giddies is it gives me this amazing community. It, it allows me to. It's like a total life hack, right? I end up meeting loads of interesting people, and I don't have to go and meet them and find them. They get funneled into me, which is like the biggest life hack ever. But it's true, sometimes I feel like when I'm creating content now, I do feel it difficult to be authentic sometimes. And so I think for me, it's even though it might look like from the outside, when other people maybe see the content or see the business, they think, he's got it all figured out. It's like for me, I'm definitely very much still figuring it out. I'm very much I have my own kind of like doubts, and I have my own, like you said, you someone that like
Of course, of
I like
course.
stuff too, but sometimes it's hard to. I don't know where that thought's going really, but what I'm trying to say is, I guess that every business has their issues as well, and the authenticity thing it definitely rings true with me, what you're saying, because I personally find it difficult sometimes. Sometimes I don't want to pick up the phone. Sometimes I don't want to be on the camera, and it's like that's my job. So it's like, how do I? So for
But
you,
that's the difference between a person who has an idea and a person who implements that idea. Because you won't have the energy, the inspiration, which is in our case, because we have creative companies of doing what you do. But anyway, you need to force that creativity to keep working. So I think that discipline is super important. And another thing that is important is that no one know what they're doing, but some people they do it anyway. And I think that that exceptionality is something that we identify, because sometimes we don't know what we're doing, but we do it anyway. And that's what makes the difference between one idea and one project. And I think that you have a project that is big for itself, and also there's a lot of subworks and subgroup happening there with people that like to hiking, do yoga. In my case, use artificial intelligence, and really creates and builds a community with.
Awesome. Okay, well, we're nearing that time where it's towards the end. I've got one question for you that's probably going to seem super random, but as I was doing my research, well, as Claude was doing research,
Who's a
on
club?
you, yeah, it popped up. It popped up a strange question that was a strange fact that I was like, I need to ask Yusuf this. So, it says here, Claude has told me that your grandfather photographed Antarctica. This is true.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's
You've got
true.
to tell
And
me the story there.
Sophie, is it possible that you can bring one of my grandfather lenses that are in that office, please? I brought the lenses. I mean, I brought a lot of lenses of my grandfather from Argentina. He used to teach photography and videography in the university, in Universidad Nacional de Tucumán. And he was one of the first person to record Antarctica, because in Argentina, Antarctica it's very important for us because we actually lost a war with UK on Malvinas, so it's important for us to keep having territory in Antarctica. So we send a lot of scientifics, Navy Marines. Plus, they send my grandfather to record video and photo in Antarctica. And I will let you and then I will let you know something. This is my favorite. This is a very old one, super old one, that I found the adapter to use it. I'm talking about lenses that they have 60, 70, 80 years. I mean, they're very, 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 very old and super heavy. I brought a lot of lenses from my grandfather. And I will let you know something that is super interesting. Thanks to that story that I figured it out, I always have a camera at home, and I have photos since I'm kid, super professional, because my grandfather was taking these photos. I got hired for a company. I couldn't make that project because I had other projects, so but I will do it. And I got invited for a German company to jump into his ship to go into Antarctica. The problem is that it's 3 months for going to Antarctica to record everything for the company and the adventure that they do for their German clients. It's like a cruise company it's called Apalioid in Hamburg, and it's something that I want to do. And they figured it out that about my grandfather, and they told me, I think that you are indicated to come to Antarctica to mix your story with the content that we want with our cruise company. I couldn't make it because it was 3 months, and I still have to have that gap time for going to Antarctica. But for sure, my grandfather was an inspiration to capture images and doing a lot of documentary material. I used to be a journalist, so I started as a journalist, and then I become photographer and videographer. But this is a big thing.
Yeah, it looks big. It looks heavy.
So
It
it's
looks
true. What Claude said is true.
wow, beautiful. Claude coming through. That's another connection that we have as well. I'm obsessed with Antarctica too. So I've got this guy on my chest. This is Captain Scott. So this is the first Englishman to ever go to the South Pole. So
Okay.
probably around what year was it that your grandfather was doing was there?
Most of the content that he recorded, it was in the 50s and the 60s, but mostly it was in the 50s.
When he was on a mission to he's a famous British explorer, and he raced to the South Pole basically, and he raced, I think it was the early 1900s, so like around that kind of time, and it was when man, like human, was first going there, and it was an untouched frontier. And so yeah, for me it's always been it's a really interesting story. So when I saw that from the Claude notes, I was like, I need to ask Yusuf about this.
I would love to go. I still have the offer for that company. The only problem is that it's 3 months because they need to create a lot of content, and it's hard to leave Madrid for 3 months. But the truth is that I wanted to do it. Antarctica is always something. It's the only place that I don't know. It's an unexplored place because I have the option. I have the opportunity to work in Sahara, creating content, Red Desert, Amazonia. So basically, all the interesting spots in the world, I had the opportunity to record, except Antarctica.
Damn. Okay. Well, if you go, then maybe there's a plus one for me there as well.
I will send you a selfie.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's probably more convenient. All right, Yusuf, that was perfect. I think we can leave it there now. We just got over the hour mark. Tell the people where they can find you, like your Instagram or that sort of anywhere you want to point people. Let the people know where they can find you.
They can find me in Claude and they can ask some good questions about the best filmmaker that you can find in Madrid. And for sure, I'm going to appear. My name is super complicated. It's Yusuf Navi, 2S, 1H. Probably Tom can leave it there. But you can find me potentially what you're going to watch on my social media. It's just backstage, behind the scene, and boring stuff. But if you enter to the website, which is how I get my clients, you can find my entire war campaigns that I did for Greta Thunberg Foundation, Too Good To Go, SAP, Bulgari, etc. Or you can find me in some events, the next event of Guiris de Mierda, for sure. I will be there completely disconnected and I won't look like this person that is a functional adult speaking properly. I will be like, yeah, or saying whatever shit. But remember, it's my disconnected time. So be patient.
That's what we're here for. And guys, that Yusuf is a perfect example of one of our golden beauties, somebody that is creating and has created a life completely on their own terms. Super interesting. Using the other days full of people like this. So if you are somebody like this, or if you want to be someone like this, make sure to join the Golden Guiris, or at least come to one of our events, because this is what we're all about: the entrepreneurial people, the people that are breaking rules and living life by themselves. So, Yusuf, brother, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Pod.